Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this video, leave a comment. Today we're going to be reading an article from The Voice about Black British people moving to the Caribbean and Africa, and this term is called Blaxit. Yes, this is a topic that I've covered on my videos on my channel for quite some time now. I started with Tunisia, then I moved to Serbia, and I had a video in Germany, and I also have one on Turkey coming soon. Now, Blaxit, in my opinion, and this is my definition for this term, it is the movement of Black people from one location, usually a Western country, to another for the express political purpose of being out of a country that oppresses us. It's not to just move for, romance. It's not to move for work. It's not to move for any other reason than to make an express political point that we are dissatisfied with our treatment in our country of origin. Okay, it's different than, let's say, a Black person moving from a sub-Saharan African country to somewhere else, like a white country. It's the opposite. It's Black people moving from predominantly white countries where there's a history of racism, abuse, and moving to any country. And I don't consider it only Black or white countries. Like, for example, if you move from the U.S. to Spain or the U.S. to China because you're upset with the treatment in the U.S., you don't have to settle, in my opinion, on just a Black country. You should find wherever in the world you feel comfortable the most, and that's different for everybody else. This is my opinion of the definition of Blaxit, right? Anyway, let's read the article. It's titled Blaxit, Black Brits Head for a New Life in Africa and the Caribbean. It was published on March 31st, 2022, written by Sinai Fleary. COVID and the death of George Floyd prompted a reassessment of priorities for many Black people who have decided to leave the UK for a better life. Here we have Zoe Smith. I want my children to know who they are. There has been a rise in the number of Black Britons making plans to relocate to Africa and the Caribbean, seeking a better quality of life and a better education for their kids. The rising cost of living is also contributing to the trend. The failure of government to tackle systemic racism is also given as key reasons why Black British families are choosing to go back home for good. In recent years, the pandemic and post-Brexit xenophobia has driven Blaxit as Black communities in the West move to countries in Africa or the Caribbean to restart their lives. The Blaxit term was coined after Brexit by academic and human rights activist Dr. Ulysses Burley III. Blaxit combines both the word Black and exit and simply means Black people exiting. Now, I didn't know that a doctor, Dr. Burley, coined this term. I heard this term just by scrolling through YouTube and seeing other people's videos about this. So that's where I got the term for my videos. But credit to Dr. Burley. Second thing I want to mention is that I think for a lot of men, Black men, the reason we move is because we are scared for our lives, our physical safety, because we're coming from states where the police force and the penitentiary systems are utilized in a very violent way to control us or suppress us. And I think for women, because they're not under such a violent yoke as Black men are, they are more concerned about the microaggressions that they face being Black women in a white world where the beauty standards are not often phenotypically African, and also they're worried about their families, their children, and the things that they go through on a daily basis. So I don't want to relegate either group, men or women, into a single box saying all men are doing Blaxit because of this and all women are doing Blaxit because of that. I'm just saying that I think mostly in general, there's probably two different sets of reasons. And you can watch several different videos of other Black people who have traveled to explain their reasons as well. All right. Here is Sharon Akumia. The pandemic was stressful and I needed change. Speaking to The Voice from Grenada, Zoe Smith, 41, said the move to the Caribbean island was her only option, as the British education system continuously failed her 11-year-old son. She said, seeing the way that my son was dealt with in the school system, watching black boys getting stopped by police and being worried about knife crime, I was just made the decision not to go through with that. Typo. That's a typo. I'm surprised how many typos I find in the articles that I read. I think in every single article that I've read on this channel, there's been at least one typo, except in that New York Times article, if I remember right. But let's continue. Miss Smith is a writer from Watford and is of Grenadian heritage. She moved to Grenada in July 2021 after meticulously planning the trip for over a decade. She told The Voice there is more to life than what is in the UK. My grandparents moved to England because they wanted a better life for their children, and my parents and I are university educated and had great professions, but in terms of well-being and that gift of just being well in yourself, the UK was lacking a lot, she explained. For my children, I want them to have more than just a career. I want them to know who they are, be centered, and grow up somewhere they are not harassed, she added. The mother of three studied Italian at university and lived in Italy for a year. When she returned, she knew living in a big city in the UK was not for her. While working remotely in 2014, she spent 6 weeks in Grenada, which was her trial run. That enabled her to research schools, communities, and the cost of living on the island. Side note, in my personal opinion, I don't think that Black people born in the diaspora should be claiming nationalities and taking pride in those nationalities that are historically from colonialism and our enslavement. So, countries like Grenada, Jamaica, Belize, uh, America, we shouldn't be claiming those as our identities, in my opinion. I'm not going to die on this hill and I'm not going to fight or debate anybody about whether this is really important or not, because this is just a side note, personal opinion. In my opinion, claiming these as things that we should claim as our own and be proud of are the same as claiming Christianity, for example, which was brought to us by the slave master and forced upon our people. So, to each their own. It's just a little bit cringe to me when I hear our people say that we're proud Americans, proud Jamaicans, proud Grenadians, even if these countries are majority Black in the Caribbean, they are still colonial foundations. And a lot of you guys still claim the Queen as your head of state and have her on your currency. And I know that's changing right now with Jamaica asking for reparations, and I think Grenada taking the Queen off as its head of state. But there are still other ones that keep her. I digress. Let's get back to it. All right. She returned to Britain, but just couldn't find herself staying and planned her permanent return to the Spice Island. After the murder of George Floyd in 2020, Miss Smith started a YouTube lifestyle series called The Exodus Collective, which shares stories from those in the Black community who have decided to move to different parts of the Caribbean and Africa to find a sense of peace. Greenery. We wanted to show people it can be done and you don't need to wait until you are retired. I wanted to show ordinary people if you put your mind to it, it can be achieved, she added. Ms. Smith said the most important part of planning a relocation is to know why you are moving and not view the Caribbean as an escape. This is very good advice. We shouldn't look at somebody else's country or home as an escape for us. These are locations where people are rich, poor, and they have their own country problems as well. But we shouldn't, go there thinking that these are just, our escape plans and we can return back to the UK or America. We should be willing to commit to the fact that we are leaving a country that does not respect us. In July 2020, she decided to leave the UK with her three children, aged 11, 6, and 5. Ms. Smith, who is a single parent, continues to work remotely, and her children have started local schools and are thriving in their new environment. I am so fortunate that remote work has become prevalent across the planet, and that now I'm able to travel and do what I do and see the world. And I hope every other person who is working remotely does the same and utilizes this opportunity, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This image that above of the black man was Marcus Garvey. He believed in a return to the motherland. The motherland is code for Africa. She said, my children go to school that are small. My children go to schools that are small and where the teachers are black, and they don't have low expectations of them. It's the simple things like driving around the island and seeing the sea and greenery, but also the people here are genuinely happy and say hello and smile at you. And there is a real strong sense of community, and that is lacking back in the UK. I just love being in a black country, she added. There are a few challenges which took some adjusting to, like the incredibly laid back pace or island time that the country moves at, but Miss Smith says she doesn't miss the unhappiness and grayness of life in Britain. The mother of three urged those in Black British community to make it their duty to bring their children and grandchildren back to the Caribbean or Africa so they can keep their culture and be proud of their identity. I think it is essential for Black British communities to take their children and grandchildren back to the Caribbean or African countries because you want to know who you are and where you are from, she added. Now, I want to pause here because there might be some white people watching my videos, and I want to explain this. Some of you might be saying, well, what if I said I want to live in an all-white country or all-white community, and I wanted my children only to have white teachers and white police officers and the white president? First and foremost, those places exist. And secondly, Black people, a lot of the times when we grow up in the diaspora and in the West, we are surrounded by a world that is not really welcoming to us. As we go through the school system, as we progress in the workforce, we have to constantly conform and try to be like the dominant society, which often is very aggressive towards us and condemning of us as we naturally are. You know, it's been shown that Black children, when they grow up in the West, when they have that doll test, and they ask the child which doll is the pretty one, the brown one or the white one, Black and white children are pointing towards the white one. And that's because so many of us are exposed to images that tell us that we are worth less, that we are not beautiful, that we are not intelligent. I mean, Miss Smith, right, earlier here said that the schools have low expectations of Black children, right? There are so many things that happen to us, the microaggressions, the little things that we experience being Black in a white world, so much that bother your mind and stick with you for the rest of your life, that I can understand, and you should be able to understand as well. If you are white watching this, you should be able to understand why people growing up in a society where they are the minority would feel like they need to protect their children against the microaggressions and soft bigotry that's experienced daily. I mean, it's common sense. Have some empathy. Imagine you want yourself for once, what the world would be like. All right. To know who you are. When asked how she would describe living in Grenada, Miss Smith beamed and said, it's a wonderful feeling and it is liberating. For Sharon Akumia from Wimbledon, South London, life in the capital was becoming very stressful, so she made the decision to relocate to Ghana in September 2021. Miss Akumia's parents are both Ghanaian and came to the UK in the 1970s. She was born in 1983 and remembers spending a lot of time in the West African country during her childhood, which made the transition easy. All right. This makes Black British people a lot different than Black Americans by and large, because a lot of them claim their Caribbean identity, which I spoke about earlier, but a lot of them are also African, second generation African immigrants. So they know exactly the country, the ethnic group, the language that belongs to them. Meanwhile, Black Americans were sort of left wandering this planet, finding where we fit in best. Some will find it in Africa, some will find it in other parts of Europe, some will find it in Asia, Latin America. It doesn't really matter, but the most important thing is that we find a safe space for us. And also, by the way, I want to say that I don't think any black person who wants to stay in their country of origin is a coward or is foolish or is any other racial slur that some black people like to say to about black people that love white people, right? I think we deserve to be in America. We built it. We deserve to be in the UK. We built it. We deserve to be in France. We built it. I just think every person has their limit, and there's more to the world to see than the one you were born in. That's all. And you can make that choice. All right. She told The Voice in 2017, I came to Ghana on a holiday and met my now husband, and I was going back and forth. We had plans for him to come over, but then the pandemic hit and working from home became very stressful. I had severe I had several family members and friends passing away from COVID, and I just felt I needed a change in environment. Miss Akumiya has been a solicitor for 5 years and said that being a black woman in the law profession was very challenging at times. It's no secret that we still face a bit of racism and discrimination in the profession, and in fact, both the Bar Council and the Law Society have realized that they need to do a lot more, she added. One of the major differences the solicitor has quickly noticed is how natural hair is embraced in Ghana. She said, in the UK and in corporate environment, I was very conscious about the way my hair was. And when I was transitioning from having my hair relaxed to natural, a senior colleague negatively commented on my hair. But here it is not a problem, and that is quite liberating. For black women, especially black women, because they are the most disrespected women on the planet, something as simple as just being able to let your hair free or do it in a style that's not a Eurocentric conformed style is something that means the world to our people. And you guys don't understand, if you're white watching this video, how much we just want the ability to be our true human selves. The whole reason I'm making these videos talking about the discrimination we face across the planet is because it needs to be pointed out, because we need to be able to express who we are as people. And you need to have compassion for us as people and treat us fairly and right. There wouldn't be a need for any black person to leave the UK, a rich, developed nation, if it weren't for the sick, bigoted society that makes a black woman feel like she can't express herself with her hair being the way God made it and her being free in the world. That's what we're trying to create. We want a world where people are free to be themselves, move where they want, and not be discriminated against, right? And that first starts with dismantling this idea of white superiority and white supremacy. All right. Many of Miss Akumiya's friends have also been returning to different parts of Africa, like Zambia, Zimbabwe, and the Gambia, and she was inspired to do the same. She is currently enrolled on a course for legal professionals who gain their qualifications abroad, which will enable her to practice law in Ghana after a year. She revealed that her course has seen its highest number of overseas students this year, with many from the diaspora wanting to practice law in Ghana full-time. She said, last year there were only 40 international students, but this year there are 120, and that speaks volumes. I wanted to come back and see how I can contribute to my country of origin, and also the whole George Floyd movement made me reflect on my life in the UK, she added. Surprise! I have family in Belgium, and when I have visited them, I have experienced racism, and that made me question, why am I here in Europe? When I can be somewhere where I am loved. My husband is here, and that was a big part of my decision. During her early 20s, Miss Akumiya was traveling back to Ghana regularly, and today she credits those journeys for helping her to feel right at home in 2022. It's beautiful that she was able to find that connection, and this is a great thing. And there has to be at some point, black people, where we say the money is not enough. I know a lot of us are staying in America or staying in Europe or staying in other developed countries because we feel like the money is important and we want to be able to have good lives for ourselves and our families. And unfortunately, in this capitalistic, globalist society, we do need capital. But at what cost? How long will we let our women be disrespected? How long will we let our children be told in school that they are going to be expelled or suspended for the minorest things, and we know that they are getting disproportionately well mistreated. How long will we let our men go to jail for crimes that are nonviolent for many years? How long will we continue to take the disrespect in these modern, developed countries before we say enough is enough and move and try to find places where we are safe? Like I said, if you want to stay in those countries, if you even want to go to those countries, that is your choice. Everybody should find a place in the world where they feel comfortable. But how long will we take the disrespect? Belgium is a very nice country. I've been to Belgium. But how long will we take it? The money is not enough. There is a breaking point. All right. But she has experienced some challenges like understanding the local languages. Miss Akumia is from the Ga tribe in Ghana, and she admits she doesn't understand the local languages of Ga or Twi as much as she should, but is learning more every day through conversations. She is based in Accra, the capital, and says it has rightly been labeled one of the most expensive cities in Africa, and those coming should have a sufficient financial plan in place. The law student describes herself as an Amazon queen and who was once a keen online shopper, but says she had to adapt because the convenience of online shopping is not really available. Same thing. Healthcare costs has been the biggest surprise for Miss Akumia, and she said it can be expensive, and if she requires treatment, she has to pay for it herself. However, despite these issues, she is embracing her new life and has much more of a work-life balance. In 2019, Ghana and Jamaica announced there would be a visa waiver agreement between the two nations to encourage migration and a closer bond between Africa and the Caribbean. I think Ghana should also open up their visa policy for Americans as well, especially Black Americans. They did say, 2020 was the year of return, but you still need a visa to visit Ghana, and the visa process is kind of complicated. According to Ms. Akumia, the government incentive is driving a growing Jamaican diaspora community in Ghana. That's beautiful. There are a lot of expats here, people from the Caribbean coming home to find their roots and end up staying here, she added. Ms. Akumia has a clear plan for her future, which includes working between Ghana and the UK only as a consultant and not an employee, as she is keen to keep the flexibility of being able to work wherever she wants. But ultimately, she said Ghana is where her heart is, and it is where she plans to start and raise her family and her husband. The plan is to set up home here. There are lots of opportunities to buy property here, and there are specific mortgages for people who are from abroad, and we want to make Ghana our forever home. So that's good. That's good. Know before you go, Zoe Smith's top tips for moving to the Caribbean. Apply for citizenship. With a lot of islands, you can only apply through your parents, and a few where you can apply through grandparents. The pandemic showed us being stuck is not fun, so having options is important. Check out the Exodus collection on YouTube, and that will open your mind to what options are available. Also, know why you want to move and understand what makes you happy. Research online, but visit islands you are interested in because it will help answer your questions and ease uncertainties. Sharon Akumia's top tips for moving to Africa. Spend time in the country you really want to settle in. A holiday is very different from living in a country full-time. Research what you will do for work, accommodation, business, and schools if you have children. Have an idea about your income. Money can go very quickly and prices are increasing. Employed work is quite rare unless you have a really good skill that they need, so have a plan. There are a lot of opportunities for starting businesses. Just make sure it is viable. Have a plan if it doesn't work out so you can go back easily without any hassle. The dream of moving back to Africa is not a new phenomenon. The Black Star Line, set up by Marcus Garvey, prepares to transport African Americans to Liberia. By the way, I can also acknowledge that African Americans treated the indigenous people of Liberia very badly when we arrived, and that should not have happened, and we should apologize and make amends for that. In 1861, more than 15,000 freed and free-born Black people in the U.S. and 3,198 African Caribbean people relocated to Liberia. Our historical leaders like Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X preached that the only way for Black people To be truly liberated is to return to the motherland, and many of their followers acted on their philosophies and made the new move across the Atlantic. I disagree with this part about Malcolm X. As far as my studies about Malcolm, he was not concerned with black immigration from the U.S. He was more concerned with bringing Islam to the U.S. because he believed that Islam was the way that white supremacy and global racism could be cured. In in 1914, Garvey, who was a black nationalist and Pan-Africanist, founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, and advocated for black people to physically return to the African continent. 5 years later, Garvey founded the Black Star Line and purchased 2 ships to provide transportation for those wanting to return to Africa. By 1948, Emperor Haile Selassie donated land in Shashamane in the Oromia region of Ethiopia to members of the Rastafari movement in Jamaica and other African Caribbean people wishing to settle in Ethiopia. Today, members of the Rastafari community continue to campaign for repatriation to Ethiopia and other parts of Africa. In 2018, Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo, launched the Year of Return, 2018, to commemorate 400 years since the first enslaved people were brought from Africa to Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. TYOR welcomed 1.5 million tourists and generated a staggering $1.9 billion in revenue as a result from the Year of Return activities. Ghana is believed to be the #1 destination for African Americans and diaspora Africans in 2019. I would love to visit Ghana. I hope I can one day. And I will end with this. I applaud all of these women who are making this move to different countries for their health, for their safety, for their sanity. I encourage it. I encourage all people to find whatever it is in life that will make them happy and the space that treats them the best. And for Black people, this could be anywhere on the planet. I don't want the Blaxit movement to get pigeonholed into only going to Africa and the Caribbean, because these countries have problems too, and it's not a one-size-fits-all solution for our people. Some of us will do better in a country like Malaysia, for example. Some of us will feel more comfortable in Panama or in Argentina or in Zimbabwe or in South Africa. It depends on the person. And I want to encourage everybody to check out my previous videos on Blaxit, Tunisia, Serbia, Germany, and Turkey coming soon. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name is Simon Hill. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this video, leave a comment. Peace.